So it's the 1st of July 2020. It's actually been a while since I've spoken about the main event of this year, which is, of course, coronavirus. There's very obviously signs that the lockdown is easing up in this country. Sunderland city centre, for example, a lot of more regular shops are opening now. HMV is reopened. Bought a few DVDs there yesterday, classic DVDs. Um, and shops that are were deemed to be non-essential are starting to reopen. Um, I think a lot of people are due a haircut. Um, I just want to talk about a bit about not so much the pandemic itself, but more the lockdown side of things and some of the things around this. We have, of course, passed a grim milestone, and I don't know how many people would have recognized this, but the official death toll in the United Kingdom is well over 43,000. And the daily death toll in England and Wales, so certainly in England, is still in three figures. No new cases in Scotland. But over 43,000, that's quite a poignant landmark because any scholars of history will know that the civilian death toll from the Blitz, that is a period of German bombing from October, I think it was, yeah, October 1940 to May 1941, was about 43,000 civilian dead. That's not including the later V2 raids, which also killed thousands of people. But the period we know as the Blitz, about 43,000 civilian dead. We've now had well over 43,000 COVID deaths, and that's only the figure that's been issued by the government. Unofficially, it could be well over 50,000. So it's a grim toll, whatever way you look at it. Um, and well over any figures for seasonal flu. Um, so we can never ever lose sight of the fact that that is a sobering figure. And I think what's happening is people are starting to forget that there is actually a pandemic going on. I see a lot of complacency, a lot of people acting like, at the start of the pandemic, for example, the guidelines were quite strictly imposed, arguably too much so, arguably some police forces um, maybe being a bit too zealous in their reading of those regulations. But those scenes at Bournemouth Beach. I think it was Bournemouth, or was it Brighton or Southend? Well, several of the southern beach resort towns just packed out. I think it was Bournemouth, yeah. Just absolutely ridiculous. I think part of the problem was as soon as the protests in June were allowed, the Black Lives Matter protests and the counter protests, that kind of just opened up a situation. As soon as the Metropolitan Police said, okay, we'll let this protest go ahead, they can't reasonably then stop other events. So that's a problem. Now what we've seen is the entire city of Leicester has been put into lockdown again, ostensibly because of a spike in cases in that city. I don't know why Leicester particularly has had that situation. No beaches in Leicester. There hasn't been any major public demonstration, certainly not more so than other cities. So maybe it's just that it's been noticed in Leicester. I don't know, but clearly something has happened in that city. But quite honestly, I think it's very likely going to happen in other places. This second spike that has long been anticipated, I honestly think it's inevitable more than, possible. I just think that you can't have a situation where so many people are going back to as if life is normal, not wearing masks, not keeping their social distance. Yes, shops still are imposing the, meter rules, but just from what I've seen, a lot of people are being complacent. And this is understandable. In a country like Britain, we are not used to a life where, you're constantly having to monitor every single thing you do. So it's human nature. I do think that there is a risk when the pubs reopen. Apparently, the police have uh, contingency plans for expecting trouble. Unfortunately, we saw with Liverpool winning was it the European Cup or whatever it was, the accolade that Liverpool Football Club won. The celebratory scenes. Of course, some idiots had to ruin that and just cause trouble. There was one guy fined for firing a flare at the Liver building. Um, Unfortunately, it's a British problem that some people just cannot have self-control. They drink too much and they act like idiots. They just get into fights and they just make an ass out of themselves. So unfortunately, I think when we're going to see a lot of pubs reopening simultaneously, unfortunately, I think there will be trouble because some idiots will just let it get to their head. They'll drink too much, so they'll go wild, and that's really unfortunate. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of legitimate criticism to be made of the government. In terms of bringing in the lockdown, well, you could argue it was too late, but they were going on the medical advice they were receiving, so I don't know if that's fair criticism or not. And the fact that we are third in the world after the United States and Brazil, and we were second for a while, is that somehow evidence that we've handled this really badly? I'm not sure that it is. I think the reality is many countries have been really underestimating the true death tolls. So I'm not sure that it just points to Britain being one of the worst countries in the world in handling this. I really don't think that's the case. I'm not saying we've handled it very well. I'm not saying that mistakes haven't been made, but I think that people shouldn't just look at the figures and assume that's the whole picture, because those figures, a lot of the figures for a lot of countries are not going to be complete. Um, I digress. What I want to talk about briefly, and I will be brief as I need to use the gent, but what I want to talk about is the social side of the lockdown. Now, one of the good things that's come out of all of this, and it's difficult to talk about good things when 43,000 people have died, but I mean, it's the worst disaster this country has faced since the Second World War. But one of the good things that's come out of it is I genuinely think there has been improved community spirit. And, there has been better sort of communications with people's neighbours and that side of things. Some areas would have been good to start off with. I mean, in my street, we've always had quite good neighbourly situation here. We have an active residents association and so on. We've had a few problems of crime recently. Unfortunately, the lady at the end of the street has found herself targeted several times by opportunistic lowlifes who have just taken stuff from her garden. However, the street has been very supportive of her, and we're trying to get. It's a private street, so we're trying to get maybe some sort of security mechanism put in place. But with the lockdown, I have to be honest, my social life this year has been, to put it bluntly, very, very sloppy. It's been poor. Um, I've one good friend, and he's been my friend for years, and he used to come around here. We'd watch films, we'd discuss the films, we just hang out. He's probably my best friend. Um, but I've been single for a long time, and recently that's been bugging me just a little bit. Not to the point where I'm really, really unhappy, like I'm very lonely. I really don't feel that way, thankfully, because I just keep myself busy. I talk to my parents online. I do live by myself, but I don't actually feel that lonely. I keep up with friends online. I contribute to a lot of debate groups online. I talk to my parents. I talk to my friend most days. So I can't say I feel particularly lonely. However, I'm 34. I'm still young, but there's not that many people my age that I really socialize with in life, that is. And that's been on my mind a little bit. I would like that to improve somehow. I joined a book group for a while, and it was okay. It was what it was. We discussed books, but most of the people there were just older people. And it's not that I don't get on with older people in their 50s, 60s, older. You can have intelligent conversations, so on. But if I'm looking for a partner, if I'm looking for a girlfriend, I want her to be roughly my age or younger. All of my girlfriends in the past have all been younger than me, so that seems to be the trajectory. But Yeah, I just hope that improves. And I just wonder, has anyone else found that their social life has been badly impacted by this? Um, I don't want to give out a false impression. I'm not really miserable or something like that. I'm quite content, but it's been on my mind. Anyway, that's something to think about. I really do need to use the gents now, so I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts.